lots of enmity, bad blood, hate, cold and silent wars have emerged from fake news. And the medium from propagating this fake news is social media. Now, social media has its pros, but at times like this, the cons outweighs the pro. We must be careful how we use social media and ultimately how to identify fake news and spot the dangers when it goes viral. On today's episode of The Amazons, we are discussing social media, the effects of fake news, and spotting the dangers. The conversation continues right after this message. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's The Amazons. My name is Lilian Imoni, and as usual, I'm not alone. I have the forever young, beautiful, gorgeous Aisha Falode with me.
Thank you very much for having me, Lilian.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I had your introduction. What is news? News in itself is a fact, is a truth, can be verified, can be authenticated. Once it is not the truth, once the fact in it is in doubt, once it cannot be verified and you cannot authenticate it, then it is fake. So the dangers in that in itself is that if you do not have the facts to back up your news or your story, it is advisable not to spread it.
True.
The social media has been so unguarded in its recklessness in the dissemination of not only news that cannot be verified, news that in itself can cause chaos.
Sure.
And if it's on the upscale, it can easily cause panic in the society and amongst people. Fake news, the dangers of it is that you have access to a medium that can let you put information out there that is reckless, information out there that is not the truth, information out there that, you see, sharing in itself of news that you cannot verify is also criminal.
Sure.
A lot of sharing is going on of things that we later find out that are not even close to the truth.
True.
So how do we curtail the excesses? News is good, information is good, it is power, it is knowledge. That is why we must be sure, we must ensure that whatever becomes news, that we must be sure that it has a source, that it is the truth, that is the fact, that it can affect and impact people in more ways than we think it can.
Very correct. Like you rightly stated about sharing. With just one click of the button, you might end up destroying somebody's life out there. I always tell people to practice the 3 P's of social media. You pause, you peruse before you post. Don't be so quick to post. Don't be so quick to share. You know, just because you are behind, the keypad, you think you can just post anything that comes away to fill up your timeline, or what they say, fear of missing out, FOMO, because you think that you do not have this information that is going viral. People will look at you as, oh, you don't know what's happening. You're not woke. You're not alert. A lot of things are trending, and you just keep spreading it like wildfire. So we really need to be careful on social media space, guard our space. By so doing, we have guarded our mindset as well.
The conversation will continue after this short break. We are discussing fake news on the Amazons today. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Amazons, where today on the program we are discussing social media and the effects of fake news, spotting the danger of fake news. And we have our guests joining us. First, I'd like to introduce Muyiwa Tijani, who is a development journalist and also a fact checker.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Anike Ade Funke Treasure.
That's right.
as a journalist, a trainer, and an author. Welcome to the Amazons. I'd like to go for you straight, Mayowa.
The fact checker.
The fact checker. How do you spot fake news for it to elicit fact checking? How do you spot it? What gives you the impression that, okay, this news needs to be verified somehow? Let's fact check it.
Okay, the first way I look at is my curiosity. I'm a naturally curious human being, and then as a journalist, bringing that curiosity into it. So once I find that something does not add up in the littlest way, so an example is saying recently when there was xenophobic attacks in South Africa, there was this tweet that was going around that the president of Rwanda, president of Tanzania, and one other country had pulled out of the World Economic Forum there. Now, the first thing in my mind is, why would they do that? Of course, there are xenophobic attacks, but were citizens from those countries involved? And then that curiosity got me thinking, okay, so let me check this. And so basically, looking at that, if something is spreading much more than it should, if something has the potential to create harm amongst citizens wherever they are, and then if something is likely to create a policy impact that may be improperly informed, then those are things that we check out.
Okay, you are a seasoned, a trained broadcaster, journalist, author. In the orthodox media, before anything becomes news, fact-checking is a rule. It is not negotiable, it is sacrosanct. It has to be the truth. The facts have to be undenied. And the reputation of the organization is dependent on how true and the consistency of the news that you give out, the consistency in the truth and the facts, in the verifiable, and in also having source and sources. Why do we have this surge and upsurge of social media just taking over the news space? And in some instances, they become the source.
I recall when I was managing a radio station a few years back, and the Ebola crisis broke. And then we had these WhatsApp messages all over the place about the salt and hot water solution to not catching Ebola. And some of my presenters took those WhatsApp messages on air. I remember my utmost indignation and embarrassment when I heard it myself, and I had to ask them, what is your source? So I was quite happy that you know, in asking the question, you touched on the issue of sources. The first thing I ask my presenters, whether you're a news anchor or you're a program presenter, is what is your source? If you're not sure of the source, if you can't tell who the editor is, if you can't tell whether the URL is real or not, because I've even seen a fake Times Magazine site and publication as well. If you're not sure of it, if you can call that person to confirm, or know 2-3 people who knows the person or who know the person and can, confirm, then don't. The rule is, when in doubt, don't. But you see, a lot of our traditional broadcasters and news gatherers are under pressure from influencers on social media. They want to be accepted. They want to be acknowledged. They want to be popular, which are the things influencers have going for them. I'll give you an example of one of the influencers recently talking about the same xenophobic attack in South Africa, who went on a blog and incited the people by, just throwing something that had happened back in time. And that precipitated the looting that we had. So it is very sensitive. It is an act of irresponsibility to just pick on something without acknowledging, without finding out who the source is or what the source is. I will never post anything that I'm not sure of. You must be able to even have the clout and the network to confirm from a fellow journalist or a fellow broadcaster. I am seeing this. I'm amazed at the frequency with which it's coming to my phone or to my zone. Can you confirm? Is this going on where you are? It's a simple fact check.
I like how you talked about, the experience with your staff sharing fake news and the source. What are the consequences for disseminating fake news when it comes to, between bridging the gap between social media and traditional broadcasters? What are the consequences? Are there any consequences? Or what is the risk involved in doing so?
First of all, broadcasters are within the society. News gatherers, whether online or TV or radio, are living within the society. So they're under the influence and the pressure of the issues we all, face. Having said that, you then have to, it's your responsibility as a media person to then bring yourself out of the emotional attachments and do your job. It doesn't matter whether we're talking of herdsmen or Fulani herdsmen. You remember let's just say herdsmen.
Sure.
Do not say Fulani herdsmen. There was a time we struggled with that. Yeah. So now removing yourself from the ethnic connotations and baggage is to say herdsmen and not Fulani herdsmen. So as a presenter, it's your responsibility to say, you know what, my audience, my listeners, my viewers are a mix of people.
Sure.
So to function as a professional, you need to you need to cut yourself away from the umbilical cord of whatever and wherever you're coming from, either issues. It doesn't matter whether you're Igbo or Yoruba or from the Delta. If you're talking of ethnic issues in Nigeria, it doesn't matter whether you're Muslim or Christian. What are the issues? Speak to the issues. Speak to the facts. So broadcasters, our friends in the print media, must always gun. I use the word gun for the facts. Stay with the facts. That's the way to be professional. Always check your source. It's the best way to be professional.
Right. So Mayowa, you see, when we say that fake news spreads fast, fake news, we know the sources of fake news. Fake news would be, this generation of influencers, this generation of social media users are not as much as taking responsibility of the consequences of the things that they post. Mm-hmm. So when you fact check and you discover and you come to realize that certainly this piece of information is fake. False. So how do you then take it on your own honest responsibility to make that also trend that this is fake news?
Okay, so for me, it's initially when I joined Agence France Presse, AFP, in February, and we are working with Facebook on reducing misinformation online. Now, when I joined, my first challenge was when something has gone viral, then you run a fact check. The fact check does not go as far as that goes all the time. The lie goes around the world twice before the truth even has its pants on. So, but what we have devised is when we find something like that on a news website or a Facebook page or Twitter or something, when I'm done with the fact check, we we work with Facebook, Twitter, and Google. So we send a link of our own fact check and a link of, we rate links of virtually all the people who shared it. Now, so what Facebook does is there's an immediate 80% decrease in the traffic that particular post is getting. Mm-hmm. Now, if it is potentially harmful, it goes even lesser than 80%. It goes higher than 80%. So that post almost disappears from the internet. Now, the problem with that is once it happens repeatedly on a particular Facebook page, on a particular news website, the big social media players reduce your traffic. So our fact checks might not go as far as the fake news has gone, but the effect our fact checks is having on those social media pages and on those websites actually in quotes, reduces what they make in terms of money. So for example, let me give you an example. Okay, not to mention names. So a very popular newspaper in Nigeria runs a piece of fake news saying that, saying outrightly that a monkey swallowed 6.8 million in one of the zoos in the north. Now, when we ran a fact check, we sent someone to the zoo, we found out that there was nothing like that. Now, when the fact check was done, there were quite a number of newspapers that ran that at the time. So we rated all the links. So immediately we do that, Facebook sends them a mail saying that you have shared a piece of misinformation. You should correct that. We are reducing the traffic on that particular post by a certain percent. And then if we see that you continue doing things like this, we are actually going to reduce the traffic of your page. And if you don't change, that page might eventually go down. So a newspaper who has built a following of, say, 3.2 million people, you are at the risk of losing that following. Or you are at the risk of saying only 20% of people on following you actually get to see what you post. So that is actually creating like an effect within the space that does not go viral. The people who are affected know. They get back to me, they call me every now and then to say, we have updated it, we have corrected it, we have stopped sharing it and all that. So I feel like that's progress for us.
We'd like to thank you so much, Mayowa, for being a guest on our show today. Really thank you for the insights that you've given. Now we know there are apps that can really help you to verify the news and spot the one that is fake. Thank you so much. We'll call for another quick break. We'll be back talking fake news on Amazons today after the break.
Welcome back. It's the Amazons, and if you are just joining us, we have been discussing social media and its effect of fake news, how to spot fake news. Now, you can check us on our verifiable social media handles. It's the Amazons Official NG on Instagram, the Amazons NG on YouTube, and the Amazons NG on Twitter. Talking about Twitter, we have a guest. She has just been christened as a Twitter warlord, but she prefers to be called a Twitter influencer. And we have Odola Olorinu. You're welcome to the show today. Olorinu me.
Yes.
You're welcome, Odola.
Thank you.
In fact, Twitter has been known to either correct fake news, draw attention to fake news, or be the source of fake news in itself. As a Twitter influencer, do you do any fact checking before you tweet?
I would take that question from not even knowing where the news is coming from. You know, several people did not know how to operate Twitter before, but nowadays, Twitter has become this place of fun and awe. So fact checking, I don't think there's anything as fact checking. Once a Twitter influencer tweets something and the followers sees it, then they take it as being genuine.
Before you tweet any information, before you tweet any perceived news, do you on your own verify? Is it the truth? Is it verifiable? Is it a fact before I take it upon myself? Because anything that comes from you as an influencer is deemed
Believable, true.
Of course.
to be believable, is deemed to be true. So you owe us that responsibility because we have placed that trust in your hands.
True.
Of course.
So do you do that?
Most times, no. I would like you to ask me why.
Why? Why? I join in asking why.
Why?
Because everybody is now looking for a fast means to become popular. So when something is trending, Twitter influencers like me, we often, we don't do fact checking. We just want to say our mind on that issue, whether it's fake or not. We don't do any fact checking. We just want people to say, okay. Oh, we know he's talking about this also. Wow. Oh, Ola is talking about this also. We don't care.
So you just care about the numbers, the
Yes,
people
the
that
likes,
visit.
the engagement. Exactly, the traffic.
So you get high on the traffic.
They do get
high
high
on
on the
the
traffic. Wow. I like your honesty, but come on, that's damaging.
No, it is shocking that she's just brutally honest about it.
That's an expose on the rest of you guys. That's true.
We get really high on the traffic. We don't bother to check, okay, is it coming from Punch? Has Punch tweeted this? No. All we want to know is, has this as my friend, an influencer, tweeted about it. Oh, he has tweeted about it. He has 2,000 likes. He has 100 retweets. Oh, let me quickly do mine so that I can also get my own.
Okay, so for
engagement.
you, there's no ethics.
There are ethics. We have the Digital Media Association, the Digital Media Practitioners. We're not allowed to tweet anything fake. But due to the fact that most people now want to, everybody wants to get a share of fame. Everybody wants to become an
The
influencer.
most popular influencer.
Everybody, yeah. So lots of people are just joining the bandwagon, and we don't know who is who. But there's an association actually that prevents that. As if you're part of the association, you're not allowed to tweet anything fake, anything wrong. But we have, so many others.
How do you become an influencer, by the way?
There are different kind of influencers. We have lifestyle influencers, we have brand influencers, an artist, a music artist can also be an influencer, and influencing his own followers. But I think there's a way where you just, they do gain to gain trends, and quickly you get a lot of followers. Then you deem or tag yourself an influencer just based on the number of followers you have.
For the orthodox media, Funke, you see, fake news becomes even more real when you see the audio, you see the video. So most times, the audio and the video are not the same story. You take the video from here, match it with this audio from there, and then the picture from there, and then you write your own intro, and it becomes your news. So for that kind of mismatch and misinformation that can cause wars, that can cause national disaster, and then we talk about insecurity. What's the word now? That borders on national security. How do we safeguard ourselves from this? There was a time it was trending, all the Igbo peoples have been, the northerners are killing them. Now everybody is running to the, and it was so real because it was matched with audio and video. You see, if that happens and the northerners get to hear this, the easterners, the people from the southeast get to hear that. Do you see what has happened?
Well, I think we should train ourselves to discern.
Sure.
You know that you can cut the audio here and join with the audio here. If it's not distorted a little, I'll still be able to tell that this is Lillian's voice. It's no longer Lillian's voice.
I'll give you an
Then
example.
again,
Just hold on.
I remember one that happened some time back.
Even this xenophobic attack, when they
Right.
said some people, a Nigerian house was being burnt, people were jumping from the story building, until BBC came out to tell us, like, this happened in Pakistan or somewhere. It has nothing to do with South Africa.
Office that was-
Precisely,
that
you
got
can
burnt in
also
Ibadan.
fact check audios and videos. And if you do not have the wherewithal or you don't have the capacity to do that on your own, you can forward it to like AFP or even the Africa Check to say, you can put a call through. I am seeing this image or this video. Can you kindly verify for me? You don't have to be the first to break the news.
That's always one of the motives.
And there's been attempts made to regulate
That's right.
the social media space with all these shortcomings, with all these dangers in the news dissemination of the social media. Don't you think that truly and honestly we do need some form of regulation?
While I support the fact that we need regulation, I'm also quite wary of where regulation stops and freedom of expression is hampered. Because it's one thing to say, let's regulate, but of course you find people who are overly zealous about this, who will step beyond the bounds of regulation and begin to touch on people's right to express themselves. I think if we're going to regulate, then we must have the facts, we must have the terms understandably or understandable or understood by all of us. Understood by all of us, such that somebody doesn't wake up one day and discover the DSS by his door or her door because you have said something you're wondering, but these are the terms of the regulation and I haven't breached any. So sometimes we have law enforcement agents or organizations or regulatory bodies that become unbecoming or overly, do over censorship. and then they put all of us in trouble, and then we're walking on eggshells.
Correct. Well, we have
Very
to go.
correct.
Lilian.
Yes, we have to go. Remember, you do not have to post it just because it is trending. False news trend too. That's all I have to say. Until next week.
We have to thank our guest for coming, Oduala Olorunrinu. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
She's a Twitter influencer.
A
Please
warlord.
influence us with facts next time. Thank you. Do your part, Olufunke Treasure. I'd like to thank you so very much.
Thank you.
For giving us, the orthodox perspective, what should be the ethics and what should be real,
True.
and that news should be. Until we come your way again next time, my name is Aisha Faludi. Have a very good evening.
Bye for now.